Deion Sanders is a rock star. You know that. He's been a rock star since the mid-'80s. You should know that. The Big 12 is absolutely giddy about having Deion Sanders in the league. And you can't blame them. Can he save the league? Yeah. Yeah, if he sticks around. I mean, I'm not going to say, actually, I am going to say it. Yes, mostly he can take it a long way to save that league that, to its credit, is working like crazy to be relevant. It's working like crazy to matter. And if they can keep him around, then every time the Big 12 calls a network, if Deion Sanders is around, you listen, because those games draw. They draw. I believe Colorado this year has a game in November. I don't even know how many nationally televised games Colorado has. Quite a few, and it's because of him and his son to a degree. I mean, he's a great player, but yeah, he can save the league if he sticks around. Now, the issue with that is he's a rock star. Is he a really good coach? Is he a really good coach? Don't laugh it off. I'm going to make an argument that you don't know, but I'm going to make an argument that it's a really, really big deal right now. Whether he's a good coach, forget the rock star part. That's done. That's settled. That's not going away. And that's great for everybody, including my business. He's the best thing that has happened to college football in 25 years, at least. You can think whatever you want about him. And I have some negative feelings over the past 6 months about how he's handled things. But either way, the man is a rock star. And he should be. And his son is a rock star. He's got another player who's a rock star. The rest of their team sucks. We got that. Can he coach? And if he's a good coach, really good coach, and maybe bad news for the Big 12. So we're about to learn if Deion Sanders is a really good football coach. I know you're going to say, well, Jeff, but he's had success. No. We're about to learn if he's a really good coach. We know he's a star. He's been a star since the mid-'80s. He even said it at a Big 12 media conference yesterday, the day before. We know that stuff. In fact, here's the USA Today. I found this such a good summary of this guy walking into a building. But the next issue is going to be, is he a really good coach? And that is going to tip the dominoes throughout college football, if he is or isn't. That part is a really big deal. The rock star part we've got figured out. The networks have figured out. Even the Big 12 has that part figured out. But the part that I don't think we know yet that's going to matter even more is whether he's a really good coach. USAtoday.com. Colorado coach Deion Sanders takes Las Vegas by storm. Deion Sanders took Las Vegas by storm, making his grand debut as a member of the Big 12 Conference by taking the stage at Allegiant Stadium and doing what he does best, attracting and welcoming attention unlike any other coach in America. The Colorado head football coach walked to the stage, attended by security guards and a trail of photographers. He protested in jest when his 15 minutes on stage were out, saying he was having fun answering questions from reporters at the Big 12 Media Day. In fact, if you've seen any of this, he said, I find him hard not to like, because I think he's brutally honest. And he is a superstar, and he owns that he's a superstar and talks about being a superstar. You know, somebody made the comment right when he sits down. Of course, I'm sure the stage that Deion Sanders sits down is full of people. The stage any other coach sits down is a third of the people. And somebody said, wow, look at this turnout. And he said, are you kidding me? I'm used to this. I mean, the guy's been a rock star since, as he said himself, since 1985. There's a lot more to this, though. Even Oklahoma State head coach Mike Gundy was asked about, because it's a really interesting thing to see how other coaches, remember, the coaching world is stuffy, boring, mean-spirited, surly, particularly Mike Gundy. Deion Sanders has turned their world upside down, and most of them, I don't think, like it. I don't think they like it at all. He's what they aren't. He's what every 17-year-old gravitates to. He's a social media star. He's got YouTube clips that go on for days and days and days. He's everything every other coach is not. And I don't think they like it. So when they talk about him, because he'll use it as ammo, it's pretty interesting. But to the Big 12 credit, to Mike Gundy's credit, and I never do that because I find him a surly jackass. Mike Gundy says, head coach at Oklahoma State, he of giant hair, the guy who's had a train wreck of a week as usual. Asked about his game against Colorado in Boulder, November 29 on ABC. That game is going to be a nationally televised game, and it has nothing to do with Mike Gundy and Oklahoma State. Nothing. Zero. By that time, Colorado may have won 4 games, and they're on national TV, and they'll generate huge numbers. That's late November. He says, quote, I think we're lucky in our league that he's with us because he brings more people in notoriety and viewers to the Big 12 Conference. And that's what makes it go. We need viewership. We want people to watch. It'll be fun to have him in our league. Yes. I never, ever find myself nodding in agreement with that doofus Mike Gundy, but he's exactly right. That league is desperate for Deion Sanders right now. Absolutely. Well said for once by Mike Gundy. But that's only part of it. Then you get to the interesting part, and that is he a really good coach? We don't know, to be honest. He knows the game. And I know people automatically are going to assume, well, that's it. I mean, yes, he knows the game. He knows it backwards and forwards. He's been to places, in situations, in games, no coach in the game has ever even been close to. But knowing the game is only a small part of being a successful college coach. It's not the NFL. It's not. We're about to find out if he's a very good coach. And if so, if he's a very good coach, would he stay at Colorado? The Big 12 desperately wants and needs him to stay. The problem, I think, is if he has a good year, the Big 12 is probably going to lose him. If Colorado is awful, then it's a buzzkill, right? Which way does this go? He does a good job. They win, what, 6? They win 6. It's pretty good. If they flame out and they're not any good again, it's a buzzkill. Here's why I say we're about to know how good he is. He was a rock star a year ago. His team had 2 stars. That's it. 2 guys that can dominate a game. See, that's what you can do in college football, and you can't do it in the pros. You can't in the NFL, and he knows this. The NFL is different, but he has 2 great players. I mean, 2 top 6 draft picks, and they dominated games. The problem is that's all Colorado had. And Shedeur Sanders, the quarterback, and a guy I think is the most polished quarterback in the game, a guy that is completely NFL ready and has NFL written all over him. Travis Hunter, who is a ridiculously talented two-way player. When they say two-way player, it's not every now and then. That guy's going both ways. I mean, it doesn't leave the field. He's spectacular. But the 2 of them won games by themselves early in the year. So they went out, beat a mediocre TCU team. To start the year, they won 4 games, and they won all of them because those 2 players, because the rest of the Colorado roster is terrible. It was so terrible, they gave up almost 60 sacks, and Shedeur Sanders was hurt a lot. He was constantly hurt. Travis Hunter got hurt as well. This year, they're picked 11th out of 16 teams, and that's probably about right based on their roster. They're just not very good. Did he fix it? We're about to find out. So, here's why it's a big deal. Here's why it's a big deal for the Big 12 and all of college football. If I'm Florida, which matters, used to matter, if I'm Florida, I already know I'm going to fire my head coach, Billy Napier. He's dead man walking. He's done an awful job, and the schedule this year is impossible. It's brutal. So Florida knows he's on his way out. I assume he knows that he's on his way out. It's just not going to work. So Florida's got a ramp here. It's an interesting and confusing ramp because here's Florida saying there's the biggest rock star the game has seen in 25 years. And, oh, by the way, he's from Florida. That guy gets off the plane and the whole state goes crazy. Can he coach? Is it a one-year deal? If I'm Florida, I want to know, is Deion Sanders built a decent roster beyond 2 players? That's why this year tells you everything. You know the rock star part, and you know it works. But do I know what I'm getting beyond that? Right? If you stop there, what do you think Florida's getting? What do you think? You don't know. Like I said, they won 4 games last year, which is pretty good at Colorado. They were 1-11 the year before. They sell out. All that stuff you know about the rock star part. Can he build a roster? He won with 2 players last year. Florida has to know, can the guy do something more than that? Can he coach? They've got I figure they have until October, November to figure that out. If you're Florida, what options do you really have? Right? He's got to be on your radar already. Colorado's got to be terrified of that. The Big 12 has to be terrified of that. The upside is Colorado is good. He does a good job. The downside is Florida's crazy not to hire him. What options does Florida have? And that's something you have to think about in the landscape of today. Yeah, you can go hire another Billy Napier, nondescript person. You can go find some, middle-of-the-road program somewhere, but that's not going to work. You've got to make a splash. I think Florida's going to do what I think Texas A&M should have done, if he's a good coach, and we're going to know. We're going to know. I didn't say great, but to get to 6 or 7 wins, he will have had to have done something beyond 2 players. He would have had to have built a roster. College football is not about play calling. It's not about schemes. It's about the roster you put together. In this case, we're going to find out in year 2. So if you're Florida, what do you do? Do you make a phone call to Urban Meyer first and say, hey, oh boy, you again. Oh boy, here comes some baggage. But you'll win. It'll be ugly. It'll hurt at times, but you'll win. Or would you reach out to John Gruden? Guy's begging to coach again. Just lost another case against the NFL. Would you make that move? Or would you make the move for Deion Sanders? And at what point is it the green light to hire Deion Sanders? They win 4, do you hire him and offer him $100 million? Because it will be a $100 million deal. 4 wins, 6 wins, what would it take? What convinces you that Deion Sanders is worth $100 million? It's the biggest splash in the game, and nothing else is even close. It's what I thought A&M should have done. If you want to matter again, it's the splash. But do you know what you get beyond year 1 and 2? That's going to suck for the Big 12 to lose him. I assume he would go. Maybe you think he doesn't.